So this is what's going out to the masses this week. This is what we have for our weekly call, weekly video we have with our sponsors, with our partners, people who have gone to buy me a coffee or who've done at one time hit via Venmo or the Cash App to let us know what's going on. I unfortunately didn't pull that slide up because I was trying to be big and bad here. So I'm gonna get those names out there and read them, although they're the same names every week. But so this is essentially where I give some shout outs to those folks every single week and tell them the kind of details going on. We're doing something different now because there's a couple things that have been missed. Today is the 8th of September, and some things we usually do for September, not necessarily for great reasons, but because they happen, are here. So we're going to go ahead and share this out to the world, do something different, and kind of give more people an idea what goes on in what's essentially been sort of the panic room that's been what we're sharing with our with our partners going forward. So up top front, right out the bat, we want to thank our partners. The Cup of Coffee level partners are giving $5 a month and have been doing it for a while. Eldon Kidd, who is a pseudonym from a guy I've known way back. It's a personal joke between the two of us. Eldon Kidd was known as the dirtiest player on American Gladiators, but we found it out a little later in the retelling of the story. And of course, if you see their video, their documentary, you kind of know why. Something he's a guy I knew from since we were kids and saw these things going on as well. Kobe Green and Harold Braxton, two people I don't personally know, but they found some value in this thing months ago and decided to offer up a $5 a month in the Buy Me a Coffee for giving us sponsorship here. And someone who joined in fairly recently, a woman, I'm assuming it's a woman named Joy Winters, Spare Change. Only given $1 a month, but it's an effort. It's something. It's something. So it's what's there. So thank those folks for providing a little extra support. It's $16 in a month, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but that $16 pays for essentially two and a half little things that we do here. So that helps a bit, helps a lot if you don't understand that. And that's kind of what we're going on today. It's the helping a bit and helping a lot, because the reality of what we're doing for the Conversation Project and a lot of more Better Media stuff on top of that. A lot of focus goes on this one because it's labor intensive, but it's labor intensive in a way that keeps me busy. I say it keeps me sane. Doing this project got me through in both the newsletter form and the video form and just the podcast form. Got me through a lot of frustrations, a lot of issues I've had with personal life and work life. And right now we're doing personal life, work life issues as well. Um, for those of you who are newish to this thing or just kind of stumble upon and listen past the 3 minute mark, my family just got back into our home in July. It is the first week of September. We got in the middle of July, so we're not even 2 months in. Basically 7 months, maybe 6.5 months, 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks into being back into our house after being displaced for almost 2 years, about 17 months because of a tornado. Math in my head is bad, and we're going to have something like that coming soon to sort of explain that one. So we've been not quite homeless. We say that kind of a joke because technically we own another house that my stepson's living in, but we had apartment life, very cramped apartment life, and just being displaced for a while. Because of being displaced, we had a month coming out of the tornado to get settled up and not do anything here, and a month, maybe 5 weeks after tornado fix to get back in the house. And the sort of sad part about that is the house, because of a crappy contractor, essentially was in the shape it was when we got into it. It was okay, but there are things that need to be worked on. We're back in the house. Those things that need to be worked on have been worked on because they fell apart at that point. So house issues. That's getting in the way of doing some things here. Being mobile, setting up, having time to have a real setup, things like that. That's 18 months of missing, 2 months of not doing anything, and a lot of time catching up here going forward. I talk about my work because I'm proud of what I do, but right now the work issue is pretty serious. I won't go into deep detail because the folks that have been partners have heard me tell this story at least 3 weeks in a row because of serious issues. But there's some issues. I work in education. I work at a small college, a small HBCU, if you will, and education issues, and a lot of it is government doing weird things to facilitate issues. I have a lot of issues, a lot of backup and things being worked right there. So I've been extremely stressed, extremely tired, extremely overworked in some things there. And because of that, on top of making that work, my original plan when I started working at this place, when I got fired from radio, which I really wanted to be in, was a 5 year plan to transition out. This is year 5. This is where things should be where it should be going to transition out. And it's literally like, the mob, like watching The Godfather. Once you think you're out, they pull you back in. So we're having issues with that. Some of those issues are also coming ahead with right now some milestones we've had with with the channel, with the Conversation Networks, the Conversation Projects channel. Um, we hit a milestone. We got enough numbers to get monetized, which is great. Yay. But it takes a little while to see how the numbers come in, and I don't know if things come in. I actually did a mistake and did a super chat or super thanks on something, so I saw that money can come to my account. But what I'm not seeing is the mass amounts of just sweet AdSense rolling in. I didn't expect it, but I was hoping to see some kind of movement going forward. In fact, I'm looking on the screen right here and clicking it just to tell you. All I have is the minus the cut $2 I gave myself in a super thanks a few days ago. Nothing's come in, and it's been about 2 weeks since we've been monetized. So whatever that means, I have seen, and I'm glad to see um, more activity. It seems like AdSense and Google wants to send my videos out to more people, which is great, which more people seeing it. But I pay for YouTube Plus, so I don't pay for ads, so I don't know what cuts to get out of that one. But I pay for it, so I don't get ads, so I don't know what's going on. People do using ad blockers. People really aren't caring, or things going on. And oddly enough, because of craziness at work and being stressed and being tired, having less time to do stuff and less time to expand, started the school year, I also got in the way of that stuff as well, cutting out some time for work time on the side gig. The news has been pretty consistent. We've not put out any bombastic things in the last few weeks. We've really backed off the just randomish Donald Trump stuff just so people can comply Trump 2024, because that's a lot of what we get, or the Kamala Harris stuff that isn't actually moving forward in the message. We'll do some stuff in the debate on Tuesday. We'll have that going forward because we have that going for us. But not a lot of big things, although I do want to thank all the folks who were very cordial when we posted the story about Barron Trump going to college, and the fact that our angle was Barron Trump's going to college, a White House kid's going to school, he's moving on. Hopefully great things happen to him. What happens to him after college, he can do whatever he wants to. But we may not like his dad, but we want this guy to have the best college experience he can, provided he's got Secret Service folks sitting in his class pretending to be, young teenagers trying to, get through class. Without all that conspicuousness, good for Barron Trump. Congratulations, Barron Trump, for making this far. Maybe he wants to be a very tall soccer player. We will see how that works out. But we're not doing so great. And while I was working up the issues and putting the camera together and just thinking how I was going to actually present this, it popped in my head essentially the sort of theme of things not making sense, not making money, the breaking two plot line, the shutting down the center type stuff, and how viable these things are. Doing this project is getting to be not so viable. And it's not so viable not because we're not doing great work. I think we're doing really great work with what we have to work with. It's not becoming viable because it's taking a lot of time, energy, effort, and resources to continue. And with other things in the way, it's starting to get a bit of a head scratcher. Now, going really deep into details, this is something that was planned to talk about for September anyway. September is my birthday month. September is a very melancholy month for personal reasons. I will go deeper into detail with those next week for the partners because it gets a little deep. But September is a very deep, heavy month going on. It's also Suicide Awareness Month, which you kind of figure out where that goes for. So we usually do a lot more talk about suicide awareness. Usually have a highlight every single week at least on the shows or things we're doing out there in the newsletters. And we'll do that going forward to continue with that one. September is a very heavy, very deep, very, very, very stressful month for me in general, just because of life. Unfortunately, extra life stuff is going on. I'm happy to have a job because, apparently there's not enough gigs in broadcasting. I'm not good enough to keep one of those gigs in broadcasting. It's the nature of the business. I'm happy to have a job, happy to have a chance to do some good things and help some good kids and not so much kids. We have a lot of non-traditional students coming through there and get what they can get. But education is also a hard slog in business right now. So keeping those people in their seats and our doors open have been issues. And a lot of the work going into that is well beyond the scope of where I should be. Like I said, this is supposed to be a 5-year transition to something else, maybe education, maybe something more management. Hopefully, it was supposed to be something more project management style. And the transition is not working because economy and election and things like that. Plus the distractions of the podcast, to be honest. Doing the stuff for the Conversation Project I think it's great. I think it's fun, and I'd like to have more people involved in it. But as we said, not quite viable. Not enough eyeballs, not enough comments, not enough sweet AdSense money coming in or other sponsorship money, any of the affiliate links coming in there as well. So it's a resource thing. It's a time thing. School has started, so I got a little extra time in the mornings between getting up at 3 in the morning and working towards having to be at work to work on things. Now I have to drive to get to school because something like 60% of all children across the nation are being driven to school these days. A kid goes to a charter that doesn't have public busing, so I drive her to school on the way to work. That's extra time popping up in there. It's time to get to talk with a young one, and we get a chance to connect as much as you can connect with a 12-year-old girl these days. But it's time taken away from stuff like this, an extra 20, 25 minutes to do one more thing or edit something else or clear something else in the daytime. That's missing. A lot of the extra stuff and extra heavy stuff, and to be honest, just dredging depression on its own sentence on top of the depression that is September month. It's kept me from getting a lot of stuff done. I've been on a long funk for months in some of the other podcasts from Morbid Media because just didn't have the energy, just have the time to do it. And now I'm getting caught up, getting those back in rotation, and it's a lot of fun going forward. But it's also a lot of time taken up. It's a whole lot of Saturdays, a big chunk of Sundays, where I'm not spending time with the family, which is important. I'm not hanging out, calling up friends. Don't do a lot of hanging out, but call, check up, doing chatting and stuff like that. I'm not, unfortunately, working, which one of the biggest thing was as I transitioned out of the broadcasting and being on call all the time. And the education stuff was if I wanted to work a couple hours on Sunday or Saturday, I'm taking time on my own to get ahead, not it's something that must be done. This range, it's stuff that must be done to maintain, and it's gone beyond the time of maintaining stuff. It really is. Any extra effort put into that doesn't give me any return. Meanwhile, extra put into this does give me a fairly good return. It gives me something psychically, something mentally to get done, sense of accomplishment, sense of creativity. And even if I'm having a conversation to myself, I was doing that when I was on radio, I'm having a conversation, I'm saying words out loud, and enough comments coming back to know that it's viable. I get enough views to know that somebody's seeing 10 seconds of a 2-minute video. I know that. But we're having some issues. And we're being kind of public on this forum, and hopefully if you're still watching this past 13 minutes, you enjoyed some of the actual openness of what's going on, because I'm not a massively great creator. And I don't like doing these sort of whiny videos on stuff, but it is what it is. I've been putting these out for the partners because they're paying for it. Although to be honest, I do more positive things with that as well. Sort of the highlights of the week. That is what these things are really for. But the reality of this is I need to kind of keep the folks that are here, try not to scare them off, but keep them engaged for what it's worth, for what's happening. Show them what their ROI is. $5 a month may not seem like a lot, but I do contribute to some other people, other folks with my 5, 6. One of them I'm paying as much as $8 a month for a Patreon account for something that they perform, and it's something that helps me do this stuff here. Those are guys that do some behind the scenes work on how to make videos work, and so because it's essentially taking a course, I'm taking the cheap end of doing that way. But to show what the progress is, this week our YouTube progress is only 1 new subscriber. In the last week, only got 1 new subscriber, and like I said, we've had some good stories, had some responses, but we've not had a lot of big time stuff to go semi-viral this week. We have a lot of people who are still hitting up a Tim Wall story from a week ago, and on my back monitor, Pumpkin Spice and Hawk Tuah Girl. It's a lot of Barron Trump hitters, but Pumpkin Spice and Hawk Tuah, the stuff from 3 weeks ago, not the newer stuff we posted this week. On TikTok, we're not seeing any movement whatsoever. In fact, we're having most of our videos. We do three. We try to take three clips from the daily video, things you might have heard, and put them into TikTok and replay on YouTube. And of the last week, maybe three of them got past 100 views. Most of them were like in the tens and tweens. So we suspect that we got shadow banned for something. We suspect that. We didn't get any guideline hits this week, but for some reason they didn't want to send up any of our things that were somewhat political and somewhat interesting. That's what it is. That's what it was. The newsletter was consistent. Its newsletter have been. We have a listing of subscribers on newsletter for over 300. I think it's right under 297 or something. Some people unsubscribed. Now that in the last 4 weeks or so, for a while, I was only sending out emails to like 50 subscribers, and now sending out to the big list of 300. And so some people have left it. So that's fine. But we have no new subscribers coming in because just no one's really jumping into it. You guess you could say the overall issue could be talent. Maybe I just don't have the talent, which is a maybe. However, there are people with a lot less talent, doing a lot less effort, and having a lot worse videos, a lot worse content, who are getting the numbers and being consistent and doing videos. On my other screen here, I have YouTube's consider there on what happened when I got 10,000 subscribers on it, and their play buttons, and you watching it, it's like, this is kind of terrible, but it is. So shout outs to anyone who actually is putting out some effort into the arena to do something. If you need some help in supporting that one, I have a podcast. It's an audio podcast. I'm trying to do video, but I don't want to really do face stuff on that one. Creators Pep Talk. Search for Creators Pep Talk. It used to be called Podcast Pep Talk, where it was a weekly thing for podcast specific, but now it's for all creators. Got to do all sort of creation. It's only 60 seconds. This is a successive week, a quick little attaboy. So keep it with that one. Other things going on. The Master Your Message may come back when I can find time to do that properly or repurpose it. In the meantime, this is not a happy video, unfortunately, and this is just what it is. All the realities of creating on YouTube are out there, and what you're seeing from a lot of people is the big misnomer. Everybody's got these. What happens? You get 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers. They put that in the title so that it catches people on the algorithm and they go for whatever. And some of these people have play buttons, so they've been out there for a while. Some of these people are fairly new, whatever. Some people are not even at that number and just kind of saying what they're getting to. One such video came across a few days ago from a creator who opened up. He's a I'll say big time founder. He's big enough for me to be a big time founder. He's a founder who basically sold out his business a couple months back, maybe a year or so back, and is kind of bored. So wants to do videos and spread knowledge. Started off with 2 channels. One was well produced every single day, more or less. The other one was just him turning the camera and talking to it and seeing what happened. He found out he liked turning the camera on and talking to it more, so he killed that channel, merged the 2 content, went more talking to the camera than just doing produced stuff, and basically saying he's not growing fast enough. And it doesn't seem like it's worth it. And he's got time. He's gonna have he's not waiting for money and AdSense on this one, so he's got time to play with it. And he has his optimism and curiosity that keeps him going, but he's not growing fast enough. He thinks he should be moving at a faster pace. More people should be seeing what he's doing, saying, because it's all great content. His produced stuff is great. His speaking to the camera stuff is great. Great diction, great speech, great ability to communicate. But he's not Tim Ferriss. And he's not dropping Tim Ferriss's name at every other stop. So he's not. He's at a very low number. He's under 500 subscribers, I believe, and he's been doing it for, I'll say, 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less. But with someone putting out that great effort just off the blocks, it's easy to get frustrated and discouraged. I've been putting forward some amount of effort for the bulk of podcasts existence. Podcasting started around 2005 or something like that. I was podcasting essentially within a year or 2 of that. Right over iPods, iTunes came out, and podcasts were essentially named because people were listening to podcasts on their iPods. That's kind of where the name came apart. Before that, they were just digital downloads. So somewhere in the midst of that, I was on there. I was one of a big time in the world of small fish. with the podcast that was for daily personal development or weekly personal development, as it was. It was some of those there, and then famous people got into the mix, and Tim Ferriss overtook things and whatnot. So I've been in the arena. I've been creating stuff and doing the videos only for about 3 years, and only getting fairly good at it within the last 18 months, if that, more like last year or so, since essentially saying, "Hey, I've got to make this thing work out." Ironically enough, the day that I said I've got to make my business work out, things are going to be fine. That was March 31st, the morning of March 31st, in 2023. In April 1st of that day was the day after the tornado. Essentially, it was the morning of the morning of the tornado. I'm saying tomorrow I'm going to get on my taxes, get on my business stuff, set up some plans, do whatever. And then the world basically came crashing down on me. Almost literally, I wasn't in the house, but people were. And on that afternoon, and then chaos, confusion, and we're not quite back up yet to just the personal stuff, let alone the other stuff going on. So this is a weekly video that's usually set as unlisted in my YouTube, and we send it out as links to the subscribers, the people who are actually partners with us via Buy Me a Coffee, or if somebody gives us a shout out, a link or a couple bucks via the Cash App or Venmo. I have links for that at our website. Partners, go to partnership page on our website. We send them this link for what's going on, so have an update. We also have a randomish newsletter that gives them some links to some stuff here or there. That's been more random than that because we've just done the videos, but links into the description. There's no links to put in this week's description because we're not going detailed. But this is a reality of what's happening behind the scenes with the Conversation Project. Unfortunately, the algorithm probably won't send many people to this one, and then people it does send won't care to go this far unless they're family and they may watch it for a bit. And I'll do a quick replay as an air check for myself. A lot of ums and ahs because I don't have a script. Usually I actually have my bullets of what's going on because I'm actually describing things. I don't even have the screens up for stuff going on for right now. But that's what this is. It's boring. It's dull. It's dry. There's no wittiness in this one. There's no funny banter. There's no jokes of what's going on. I do usually put in like birthdays and some things going on just to make it fun for that end, but not today. But I'm sharing this with the world more or less, just on the YouTube page as a public video for you can see and go into. If you want to shoot a comment, I'd appreciate that. If you see this and say, let me see what more is about this Conversation Project. This page is just basically news clips, news stories, commentary on what's going on in the news. I am not shooting to be super political. It's not all about Republicans and Democrats, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump versus used to be Joe Biden. But I worked in news radio. I worked in local Arkansas politics and a lot of news stuff we did. A lot of stuff was following the legislature, following the rules, following things like that. So I have a sick love for watching political theater play itself out. Also have a really sick love for watching businesses fail. And that's another part of another whole nother platform, whole nother brand that is about doing better in business and in life by seeing some of the failures of other businesses and trying not to get stuck in those things. But like I said earlier, this podcast and the work we does for it and does for you hopefully is part therapy. I work the news. I'm not happy with the state of news as it is. And part of it is the business model doesn't pay for the best presentation of news, so I do a better presentation of news that unfortunately isn't paid enough for, so it suffers from some resources. It gives me something to focus on when my work stuff is not progressing. I know I have progress every single morning, and I do this thing and I get it done no matter how bad it is, no matter how terrible it is, how tired I am, or what got in the way of me getting a better job done. It's a win. It's a win that no one can take away from me. And on days when I do a great job, it's a super win because sometimes you don't know how bad I'm fighting the thought to just go lay on the couch and just not get up. And I sit up and I type a couple lines and I pull a bunch of pictures and put them in the slideshow and talk about them anyway. So for all you guys who stuck around this long or scooted to the end to see what the point was, thanks. I'm going to do a couple of minutes of just kind of rambling so I can throw up the best videos in the background so they pop up in the sidebar. I don't think we'll throw up the yeah, we're not going to worry about throwing up the little graphic thing, but we'll put them up in the side, just some videos to watch. So thank you so much for sticking around this long. Once again, thanks to our partners, Harold Braxton, Colby Green, Eldon Kidd, and Joy Winters. The little you give goes a long way. We appreciate that for love there. Thank you for the comments and some of the love. And I've gotten a lot more comments on my voice, my presentation, my new stuff, a lot of good stuff, and some not so great stuff, which you expect. I am willing to put my face and my voice on the internet every single morning and let you call me an idiot and a jackass. I'm willing to do that for conversational purposes, and you're more than willing to oblige and call me a idiot and jackass. So I guess thank you for that. Thank you anyone who has supported us on some of the other ventures we have. We have right now we're selling books. We've been doing a book every month. That's also part of my personal therapy. You know, you may not say they're great books, I may not really fall in line, but I'm trying to catch up on some of the work in the business platform, the business branding stuff that's going on there. So I have a lot of things in the kitty that I'm just polishing up so they're good enough to be out there, so that when I can actually push myself as a business coach, someone actually pays for those things. Because hey, this is a business as well. I can show people how to make their daily YouTube things go, how to make their stuff happen, how to set up some audio and some video and get things going on a shoestring budget, on very little budget. Right now, we're recording this video here on an old phone. My old phone is charged up so we don't tie up all the other phones, and we'll just upload the video in a minute and just go with it right there, because it's just, well, I had to have a lavalier mic. I didn't widen the shot for some reason, but I have a mic on my chest going to the phone. So if the audio isn't terrible, if the audio is terrible, you won't see this. It is what it is. But audio should not be terrible. It should be much better going for this one, just using the simple phone. And in case, and that's mostly because the room, I've not really did much treat the room today. I'm talking into the phone and not the mic with the gate on the mixing board. So there's that. Inside baseball. Yes, these things actually do get kind of rambly at the end, and it is what it is, but that's why, if it's got lots of details, I'll give the facts and give a copy of the sheet going forward. In the meantime, if you made it this far, remember we have broadcasts every single day essentially. On Sunday, I'll do this or something smaller like this, but if you're a partner, you'll get this on Sunday. Monday through Friday, we do things you might not have heard, and a second show inside that, things you might want to know. Things you might have heard is a news update. For Monday, we give you 10 stories. For the rest of the week, it's 8 stories that from the prior weekend or day to give you into things. And things you might ought to know are fun stuff like birthdays and day history, things like that. That makes the show much longer. And so the whole point of that is essentially was to split it and just do 2 shows. We may see if we cut back on that one. Partners seem to be okay with it, and most people just sort of watch it till they're done with the news, see the ads come up, and then turn it off, because that's what people do. So we do stuff like that. We also have newsletters for all these things. Follow us. Go to the website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and follow for the newsletter for the Conversation Project, and you'll get newsletters for every single day. Plus the weekly roundup. I have to get used to saying that, all the branding's not changed. This is a roundup of 12 news stories from Monday through Friday that came apart from you helping to pick those stories be top stories, and then me picking them out of the top stories of the week to say what stories were kind of important as you look back towards the week. We do clips of the programs and put them on TikTok and YouTube for shorter versions to engage in, so you can get more out of that. We have the newsletter, as I said. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Threads. We've found a way to share our links on Threads. So we're doing the Threads thing. Don't think it helps at all, but hey, people are still there. And once we figure out how to get some actual stats, we'll really talk more about that one going forward. That's about it. That's what we got. If you listen this far or watch this far, thank you so much for being with us. If you want to consider being a partner, go to thisisaconversationproject.com/partnerships and consider. We have all of our sponsors are affiliate sponsors. So go to the affiliate link at the website. You see them. We don't get paid unless you buy from them. Many of us affiliate links are literally me. So right now I'm selling books. This past week, I sold my new book that is on sales objections. If you want to get a book on sales objections, whether you're a salesperson or just someone who wants to get better at convincing other folks to do what you want, check it out as well. $10 for the paperback, $5 for the Amazon version. Also selling the book on vocabulary and the book on affirmations. Go search for books, J. Clifton Payne on Amazon. You'll see my whole list. Or go to my website, click on books. There's a book, but there's as well. That's jcliftonpayne.net and click on books. This month, if all goes well, we will publish at least So 50 Happened. It's my birthday present to myself every decade, at least for the past 2 decades. When I turned 40, I did So 40 Happen, and this month we should do 50 Happen. I'm going to be honest. Today is the 8th of September, and right now, sunshine is not happening so much. Not much blue skies, a lot of blueness happening. So the work I'm needing to finish editing some chapters and writing just a few more. Not too much more. I mean, it's not going to be great content, but it's what needs to be done. We'll see. Some folks have said they really want to see this thing happen, so I'm trying to work it out for those, and I'm trying to see for myself exactly what's happening, because I have a totally different process, and I'm learning a lot as I review my past 10 years specifically, and 50 years altogether for kind of things going on. But it's a struggle. I say at the end of all my content these days, remember that life is great, even when your life doesn't seem so great at the moment, and that's something that, affirmation or not, takes a lot of time, a lot of stuff to kind of sometimes just slog through and get through. Because to be honest, right now, my life isn't so great. Not having great times. It's just not happening, and that's okay. And it's okay to not be great for a time, maybe extended period of time, for yourself. It's your interaction with the world that becomes an issue. If you're a person that must interact with people in the world and you're not doing so great, and you have to find a way to fake it and move on forward with it, it affects your ability to just sort of function. It is what it is. And so while I'm not looking for an outpouring of tears and things like that, I'm just looking for more people who are literally engaged in new stuff, and to give me more comments, more feedback, so I can get better. You don't have to be $1 million sponsor, but I'd like you to just share it with some folks who think it's good enough, and share with me what you think is good and what's not so good. Let me get better. Help me get better. This is not the most viable hobby, if you will. It's an actual business. We have actual documentation, and you run this as a business. But we're not, making bank. I'm not a YouTuber working full time. I'm work extra full time with other jobs to make things work. And those other things are becoming so much of an issue that it's squeezing out what should be at least spare time to work on some stuff, and just panic time to get things done in time, because other things are being pulled at. Other folks think they're priorities when they are. But the more priority to myself is family than this thing. And so I fight between doing this thing and spending time with family. And family usually wins eventually. I get to a point where I just stop working on stuff and go do family stuff and then figure out time later. But it's hard to do when the day job thinks they are your priority. And it is what it is right now. There's some issues going on that makes it harder to make things work. All hands issues. So unfortunately, not all hands are working all handsly. So it is what it is. So I'm done. There's nothing left to say. There's no real great way to get out of this. Of course, like I said, life is great even when it doesn't feel so great. And trust me, I understand that. So if you want to talk about it, reach out to me. Remember, September is Suicide Prevention Month, and that's a very serious, very important issue to me. 988, the new Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's on your cell phone. You can text it. You can call it. You can go to 988lifeline.org, I believe. And you can see them online. Someone in English or Spanish will find some time to talk to you. Whatever, there's somebody always there for that. And it's also local resources. And as I said, send me an email, send me a text, send me a chat. We'll check things up and get ourselves out of the funks together. Thank you to our partners one more time: Eldon Kidd, Kobe Green, Harold Braxton, and Joe Winters. Thank you for you guys who are not quite partners yet. If you're thinking about it, consider it. Check out our website for partnerships and sponsorships pages. Thank you for being you guys. When I say I love you, mean it. I love you, mean it. That's it. No more rambling. I promise if you're a partner, I'm more focused. This thing is a bit more cheery because we go through more of the actual things that are accomplishments. Unfortunately, there's just so many things So few accomplishments other than getting monetized, setting up the store, and doing some extra things behind the scenes that should bring things in. That we'll see what happens. Buy a sweatshirt, buy a t-shirt, buy a mug, buy a tote bag, buy a cap, buy a bucket hat. Be back soon. This is Sunday, so tomorrow on Monday we'll bring you a fresh edition. It'll stream live, but I record it for live. That's a long story in itself. For sometime around 6:20 a.m. You'll see that one in this feed here. So subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. And we got that 5 days a week. On weekends, we give you the weekly roundup, which is 12 of the stories from the past week that were pretty hot, and things as they come along. So as things come along, we'll get to you. We also have a debate on Tuesday with Harris versus Trump, one and probably only. So we'll have a lot of chatter for that coming up on Tuesday as they overhype it, and Wednesday when we find out it really wasn't worth the effort of watching, but news nerds watch. The election is in 60 days or less. It's getting real, folks. Have a great Sunday. If you're watching this on the day, have a great time whenever. Enjoy yourselves. Love you. Mean it.